Welcome back to Hardball. President Harry and his wife Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, shocked the United Kingdom and the world this week with the declaration they will formally step back from their roles as senior members of the royal family. In a statement posted on Instagram, the two said they would become financially independent, splitting their time between Britain and North America. And last year, Prince Harry, who's sixth in line to the British throne, told ITV News that protecting his family was his top priority.
For me and for my wife, you know, of course there's a lot of stuff that hurts, especially when the majority of it is untrue. I will not be bullied into playing a game that killed my mum.
Well, the announcement, which has been dubbed Megxit by the tabloids, was a sensation in Britain. Look at those headlines. Here at home, the editorial board of the New York Times celebrated the move. It was the lead editorial today, taking up most of the page of the New York Times editorial page. The same can't be said for Buckingham Palace, where the news received an icy reception from the Queen of England. I'm now joined by Martin Lewis, who's been a columnist for Time Magazine, Salon, and the Huffington Post. Well, here we go. I guess there's a lot of factors. Here in the midst of Brexit, they finally agreed on Brexit. They're going to pull out of Europe, and here we have the royal family in turmoil. How's it all connect? Does it?
Well, you know, a lot of coverage has suggested that this is like another season of The Crown. But you know what? While the British royal family may be dysfunctional and can teach Aaron Spelling a thing or two about soap operas, this is not really about the royal family. It's about the British family. And in the same way that here in America, we have this transition from the optimism of Obama to the Tea Party, birtherism, and the ugly stain of Trump, the same thing happened in Britain. The British equivalent of Archie Bunker took us from the optimism of the Tony Blair era to this Brexit, a hard Conservative government. Brexit is just a form of xenophobia. Oh, don't like them bloody foreigners. And ultimately, we now have a British Prime Minister called Boris Johnson who describes Africans as pickaninnies and black people as having watermelon smiles. Just imagine how a proud daughter of an African-American woman should feel about that.
Well, what has been it? Well, let's talk Turkey here. Meghan Markle has a biracial background, and there she is, a part of the royal family now. Has that been too much for the Brits to absorb? Is that what that's about, or this is about?
In part,
she gets
yes,
a beating in the tabloids. Why does she get a beating all the time?
Well, because underneath, slithering out of the rock, is that bigotry that's always been there. And remember that fairy tale royal wedding where we had that fantastic black choir singing Stand By Me, a black preacher from Chicago. Everybody thought it was wonderful. Not in Britain. Rupert Murdoch's tabloid The Sun sneered at it. And there's been that general attitude about a BBC host looked at a picture of Meghan Markle's baby and tweeted that it looked like a monkey. That is that's the sad truth, that Britain has that racism still.
Well, that's pretty bad. And I don't understand this. I mean, I have to tell you, you have to translate this for me because, you know, it's a glamorous couple, of course. It's a prince. He served in the military. He's found the woman of his dreams. He married her. That's it. And that's not okay. And why isn't it okay?
Well, unfortunately, you know, I come from the 60s era, so we all have this thing of love and peace and all you need is love. And Americans have this lovely, dewy-eyed image of Brits. We think of James Corden and John Oliver, Helen Mirren, and even an old fogey like me. But the reality is a lot of the Brits are actually, if you remember what Ricky Gervais was like on the Golden Globes,
sure.
You've got that stream of vituperative reactionary bile hating on anything progressive, anything kind or thoughtful or tolerant. And that is a daily diet in Britain, in the tabloids and in social media. So Meghan, I think they were a little bit naive and optimistic the way they went into it, but they're getting that day in, day out, and I think they're fed up with it.
You know, I was on a bus out at the airport in Britain one time, many years ago, and the bus driver, who was a man of color, I don't know what his background was, he slammed the door because it was time to move, and this older British guy outside the bus started yelling, "This is why I left the UK 30 years ago." Well, I think we found your guy.
Well, that's certainly it. Thank you indeed, Chris.
Thank you, Martin Lewis, for coming on the program. Up next, Trump may not like the word assassination used in connection with Soleimani, but it's what he approved. You're watching Hardball.